Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to GeekyKOOL presents Professor Ace, episode 89. Sitting in for the Ace this week, we have a multitude because replacing her is hard to do. We've got Keith, Pop Culture Minefield, right down there. We've got Dee and Spoo on Scallywag Productions with us tonight, and we're going to talk about Warner Brothers what is it? Warner Brothers Discovery, right? Warner Brothers
WB Discovery, yes.
Oh my gosh, a mouthful. Warner Brothers Discovery and the future of the DCEU. And Mr. Keith is with us tonight because he's a man who knows all sorts of stuff. And we wanted to react to him and talk about kind of where things are going, because we all like the DCEU. Even those of us that may be more Marvel, we still love it and want to enjoy some good DC movies, but we're talking about where things are going and what does this mean with Batgirl canceled and rumors of the Flash and all sorts of things going on. So welcome to the show, guys. Glad you're all three with us tonight. I wish AJ could be with us tonight, but work calls. Yeah, I know, right? So I'm glad you three joined me. I appreciate it. Otherwise, I'm just talking to the camera, and then that gets boring for everybody. So
I'm always available for you.
I know, my friend. I know. I do appreciate that. So, Keith, start us off. Kind of tell us what's been going on, because you actually have been talking about this going on for at least 6 months. And tell
longer,
us
it seems like.
Yeah, it seems that way. It probably has been. So tell us what's actually happened. What all this news means, what does Batgirl canceling means, what does Aquaman and Flash reshoots mean, what all is going on?
It's all really, really simple. A bunch of people, the last time I was on here, I told you had a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, who were making a lot of really bad decisions, who are now, as I warned you, going to start greenlighting a bunch of movies that they know for a fact that the new boss is definitely not going to want. It's basically a bunch of people out drunkenly spending money thinking, I have nothing left to lose. And his first day in there, it's like, well, okay, Anne and Toby and Wally. Eeny, meeny, miny. Okay, Anne, you're gone. Right off the bat, she's gone. So he keeps Toby, he keeps Wally. And then you started getting reports of one of your actors not doing so well. And the new boss flying off the handle after firing a bunch of people and making sure the heads of all those departments now share one hallway with him so that he can just basically go down the hall and find you and ask you directly what's going on, which is what he did to Toby Emmerich. Opening his door and saying, hey, why didn't you fire this Ezra Miller? Oh, okay, you're gone.
What?
Well, that just leaves us with Walter Hamada.
What? Firing Ezra Miller? Why would they want to
So,
do that?
what you have with Walter Hamada is someone who is completely the opposite of what you would expect to have for anyone running any division of incredible IP, very valuable IP. In Hollywood nowadays, which is par for the course, and having someone that doesn't understand anything. He's not a comic book reader. Yeah, I know, right? He's not a comic book reader. Not really a fan of any of these characters. I mean, it's not like they have him running Lucasfilm. So,
let's hope not.
We'll talk about somebody that might be defecting real soon. But he's a guy who, when he first got the job, told his superiors, hey, we got this Wonder Woman 84 over here, and this Birds of Prey. Oh, they're going to be great. They're going to burn up the box office. Fans want to see what they have. Yeah, this Joker movie is just a little side thing. I wouldn't really worry about putting too much money into that. I mean, we'll get these other people to, shoulder the financial burden. It'll be in and gone, and nobody will really. So, Wonder Woman 84 comes out. Birds of Prey comes out and completely.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Joker, which not only makes over $1 billion, but takes home a couple of gold statues.
Right.
Yeah.
The part that really hurts is that Warner Brothers and their shareholders got hardly any of that.
If I was a shareholder, I wouldn't be very happy about that.
Of course, but magically, Walter Hamada still had a job. So he starts working on trying to get, the director and the lead actor to, hey guys, how soon can we get a sequel? And Todd Phillips is like, sequel? I mean, have you seen the movie? I mean, this is the film.
Right.
And Walter Hamada is really like, no. You don't understand. We really need a sequel. Translation: my A is in a sling.
Yeah.
You need to bail me out. We got to start working on a sequel.
He talked initially about kind of doing similar films for other villains, and I would much rather see that. But
he talked about it, but
personally, but
he talked about it, but he talks about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the worst I have ever seen. This guy has done more damage, and we're not even done with him yet. He's done so much damage to the DC brand. It's not even funny. His job, according to Ann Sarnoff, who was running Warner Brothers Media, Toby Emmerich, who was running the film division, right? The two of them decided for some reason that they weren't really fans of Zack Snyder. And so they worked on trying to undo all of the Snyderverse stuff. They tried to block the release of the movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League. That didn't work. And so they wanted to undo the entire universe. Thus, Hamada commissioned the script for basically Flashpoint,
Right.
which is what this Flash movie was. Now, he decided, hey, a lot of fans are probably going to be mad at me, but how about I distract them with a little something? So he came up with the idea of calling up Michael Keaton and saying, hey, why don't you come back and be Batman? And we'll give you a 5-picture deal. And we'll have you make cameo appearances. We'll have you be the Nick Fury of this universe, of which probably Michael Keaton's like, who's Nick Fury? Because. And so they worked out a deal, started work on Flash and on Aquaman, which is also written to be a part of this big change. So basically, at the end of the movie, both Superman and Batman, a.k.a. Ben Affleck, happy birthday, and Henry Cavill, were to disappear from this entire DC universe. They were going to be replaced by Batgirl and Supergirl. Okay? But not the Batgirl we know and not the Supergirl we know. The Supergirl that you would be introduced to in The Flash is actually the daughter of Clark Kent and Lois Lane, a.k.a. Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder.
Mm-hmm.
And Batgirl comes from an altered timeline version of the DC universe. Okay?
Right.
You still have the same actor playing Gordon, but he's completely different in the Batgirl film. Those of us that have actually seen pictures and actual video footage have confirmed that Gordon looks kind of different than when you saw him in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Suspiciously almost 10 to 15 years younger. Longer hair, no gray anywhere.
Yeah, a lot less, lot different there.
Oh, not just that. No, not just that. Well, you had Batman, as portrayed by Michael Keaton, would be her mentor and help her with the skills she needed. But basically, she was to replace the Ben Affleck Batman in this new universe that many of us have decided to call the Modiverse. And the script and the actual production for Batgirl was in this new universe. Okay, you know how different J.J. Abrams' version of Star Trek is from the real Star Trek films and stuff? That's how different Batgirl is from all of that stuff. This was not a film that was quote unquote easy to make. It was meant to be different on purpose because of the changes made with the Flash film. Okay? So if you go ahead and make changes to the Flash movie that affect the outcome of how you originally had the film, that should alter then anything that comes after it.
Right.
So it was kind of easy to make the decision to cancel this movie since David Zaslav, the new boss, is in there going, yeah, I'm cool with Zack Snyder. I think we should just go with that. So everything that you see as far as all the plans that Walter Hamada made are now officially moot. They had to reshoot both Aquaman and Flash to fit what the new boss wants, which is basically going back to the way things were before.
Right.
Good.
Batgirl then is completely at odds with all of it.
Right.
None of this movie will make sense at all. Even with what they've reshot, all the stuff they've altered in that film already completely makes Batgirl moot. Which is the reason why I believe it took about 4 years to see Zack Snyder's Justice League. So about 4 or 5 years from now, I assume Batgirl will probably be seen, and you'll see what I mean. That movie is not going to come close to matching anything that DC Studios and what people are now calling the Zaslav-verse is going to look like.
So are we returning to Snyder's universe? Is that official?
No. What it is that it's going to be a hodgepodge, a combination of what Dwayne Johnson was doing and what Zaslav says that they should be doing, built on the foundation of the Snyderverse. So Henry Cavill. Oh, go ahead.
From what I understand, a lot of the rumblings is basically like, let's kind of keep things as they are for a little bit, build it towards essentially a crisis.
Yes.
And then that will allow a new door to make instead of making your changes with Flashpoint, you make it with Crisis, which, let's face it, would be a lot cooler. And I'm totally down for it.
Yeah. Well, and that'll take having the new head of DC Studios to do that. Unfortunately, they haven't hired anyone yet.
Right.
Are you
now
the job, Keith?
I would take it, but I could think of about 5 other people that I'd rather see have that job.
1,
you know,
2.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. David Zaslav really is not a very difficult guy to understand.
Right.
If you are willing...
I'm liking the stuff that I'm hearing coming out of this whole thing.
Oh, it's not just that. It's been so effective, it's affecting all these other studios.
Yeah.
I mean, Disney now, you've got the head of Disney going, whoa, that's a cool idea. I think I'll do some of that. He took the biggest a-hole in the office, somebody who was talking smack behind the scenes about how he was going to take his job, had that dude marched into his office one day and said, look, you're not exactly fitting the future of this company. So I think you should find employment elsewhere.
Yeah.
And they had him perp walked out.
Who was that did that with, Keith?
That was Bob Chapek
Bob Chapek.
at Disney.
Yeah.
Did that. And that's not the only thing. They had their big meeting for the investors, and Chapek, this guy has been with the company 30 years. He's a by-the-book guy. Okay? Suit, tie, the whole 9 yards. Man, he shows up at that investor meeting, growing the goatee, because he's always been bald. He's always been clean-shaven, no hair except for his eyebrows. He comes in looking like, he just had to go with the prom queen, her sister, and mom. And
Wow.
with a little bit of a smile on his face, like, I know some things. I know some things that are about to happen. There's some people that are going to have some surprises around here. And I think he's going to do it. But it's not just Disney. This is everything that Zaslav has done. And remember, he's done it in 4 months.
Yeah.
A lot of these changes he's done in 4 months. This is starting to have an effect at CBS Paramount, which has now started looking into their whole Star Trek situation, because now you've got people asking questions. Hey, how come we're not making as much money as we once were? What happened to our movies? How come our stuff is how come we're not moving a lot of merchandise? How come all these questions are now coming down?
Right.
And of course, it kind of doesn't help when the person who you put in charge of all this stuff, or actually he was put in charge by a previous administration before the person in charge of hiring him for that job basically got kicked out of CBS because, they weren't too nice to women or something. And I do mean this guy was not nice at all.
Right.
It kind of doesn't help when the person you put in charge of it all is acting like a spoiled child, threatening his bosses and telling them that he's about to ruin what they have if they don't give him what he wants.
He's talking about ruining Star Trek. I don't think he has to do much to do that.
Well, he's already ruined it, but he's going to ruin it more, he says.
How?
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah, no, I saw that where he was talking about, we're bringing back the whole TNG cast for Picard Season 3. We're just going to kill them all off.
Something like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
That doesn't play too well with the head of CBS nor the head of Paramount.
Right.
And the head of Paramount's the one that really wants to do a financial audit of everything to understand how much money they've spent because of what he and J.J. Abrams have done since they've been a part of all of this.
Yeah.
And where that money is actually gone. So, welcome to the world of Zaslav. That's really what the entertainment world has become now. Accountability. And as I had alluded to before the show started, one of the things Zaslav, during his 1 year of asking questions and going around and looking at things before he took over, is he found out that there were 2 apps, 2 movie apps, 2 streaming apps that Warner Brothers had that did the exact same thing, called 2 different names. You've hired whole divisions of people to handle each app, which means you're basically paying twice for the same product.
Right.
They're paying out salaries and everything else for the same thing twice. Which is the reason why one of these apps is going to go away, and a lot of the people underneath that are going to get laid off.
Right. So which app's going to survive?
I'm thinking they're going to alter HBO Max.
Yeah.
They're going to basically combine it with Discovery because
right.
it almost matches movie for movie, really, HBO.
Right.
There's no reason to have the exact same thing twice. This is the kind of stuff that he's been digging up.
Right.
And asking, rightfully so. It's like, are you guys on drugs or something? I mean, who approved this? So that's his, he came in and said, look, I'm basically going to cut $3 billion out of all this. So I'm just going to start cutting. And Warner Brothers has been talking about selling the CW for years. So everything that happened with the CW,
I'm not surprised with any of that.
Nobody should be, because he's looking at the ratings going, and he's asking about all these shows they'd make, and it's like, are any of these shows in the top 20?
Nope.
Are any of these shows competing for top viewership?
Now that Supernatural's not there.
Because if we're
for a while, and then it just became cookie cutter and the same boring crap as everything else, and then I lost interest 3 or 4 seasons ago.
I think a lot of people have. I think he, in his mind, he did the Flash a favor. It's like, look, I'm going to allow you guys to come back and say goodbye, but I'm only going to give you 13 episodes to do it because it shouldn't take you any longer than that.
Right.
I think the only show that got a rightful reprieve and is allowed to continue with Superman and Lois.
And I think it's only going to go for about another season, maybe 2.
Maybe 2. But its ratings were the highest out of anything that Berlanti had.
Really? I didn't think it was doing all that great.
Oh, it was.
Oh, no, it's one of the highest rated CW shows since Arrow.
Maybe I was thinking on that because I didn't like it.
Well, hey. But Greg Berlanti was really good friends with David Zaslav, and then Zaslav started cutting stuff. So basically, he's pretty much cut about every single Berlanti program. I mean, not just the CW stuff.
Yeah,
he went after the stuff that Berlanti had on HBO Max. So it's looking like Titans is gone, Doom Patrol is gone.
No.
And because I think he was mad because it's like, wait. We have the worst show on TV. And how many seasons has that? How long has this been going on? Oh, since the first season? And how many seasons? Batwoman.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
I mean, how do you...
Great. What are you talking about?
I mean...
And the only comedy? How could you go? Oh wait, that wasn't
the only show that beat Batwoman for being how bad it was when CBS decided, hey, let's go ahead and just show Star Trek Discovery on network TV. Yeah, that didn't go as they thought. I mean, even reruns of game shows beat Star Trek Discovery.
Wow.
I just wish people would remember what Star Trek is supposed to be.
Well, no, it's not so much that. They just don't care.
Yeah, I know.
The people that are running it right now, really, they don't care. That's the long and short of it. They just don't care.
Yeah.
And now you've got a lot of executives and business people going, look, there's a lot of money being spent that we're not really getting recouped very easily.
Right.
When Warner Brothers had their shareholders meeting, David Zaslav made some announcements. Not only talking about DC Studios and bringing in Alan Horn and the 10-year plan. Now, people remember that.
Right.
What they don't remember is, I think, probably the most important thing he brought up in that, which is he started talking about the fact that everybody has fallen under the sway of streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be, when a movie does not do well, and let me pick a movie out of thin air. Let's go with The Eternals. When a movie does not do very well, usually it was possible to recoup a lot of that money.
Mm-hmm.
So you take the film out of the theater, you put it VOD, offer it on VOD, video on demand. Then, you start making the rounds to see what cable networks wanted to have the rights to show it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually you go and you have it on Blu-ray, DVD, all this other stuff, right? Well, since streaming has been around, all that stuff has went away.
Right.
When everybody adopted streaming, they cut out that revenue.
Yes.
And Zaslav's like, that has got to be the dumbest thing I ever heard. So his thing is, no, we're gonna change this up. We're gonna concentrate on trying to get as many movies as we can make out into the theaters and take advantage of all this opportunity to make even more money with what we produce.
Right.
Like, streaming's fine down the road.
So now you've got Paramount going, what? You got Disney going, oh? And Disney's the one that really needs help. Turns out that there is a portion to their agreement about owning Hulu, where NBC and Universal not only helped to jack up the price of Fox, they had something slipped into that contract about Hulu to where, since they're the only other company that owns a portion of Hulu, Disney has to buy out the rest of Hulu shares from NBC Universal by 2024.
Oh, wow.
At the price that they think will be the fairest.
Oh,
you
Hold on. You're talking a small check written by Disney. That Disney's
No,
not gonna do.
I'm not. Disney's been having problems, my friend. Oh, Disney's had a lot of problems. And, a lot of the stuff that Bob Chapek was involved with over the course of this last year have been about trying to handle a lot of these problems. But now I think he's on the path to at least solving some of those issues. Some of it is getting rid of people that are countermanding what he wants done.
Right.
You can't run a company if everything you're asking for is being countermanded by the people underneath you.
Right.
That means
right.
you need to be getting rid of some people.
Get out of here.
Again, the Zaslav effect.
But my question is, Keith, how much do you think the pandemic had effect with all of that? Because basically nobody got to go to see anything in any theater for almost 2 years.
You know what? That's a good question. Unfortunately, this past year, the success of Spider-Man pretty much blew the whole pandemic thing out of the water.
Yeah, but you're not getting that revenue for almost 2 years. That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is. But you also had to try to get your parks back in order, and not all of the Disney parks are operating right now. Again, the biggest thing with Disney, more so than any other company, is they had all this additional revenue outside of just films.
Right.
Yeah.
And their biggest thing were the parks, getting people to come in, pay the exorbitant prices. Look, this whole Star Wars thing with them, as far as what they were doing in the park, let's be honest, it's not working. Okay, Bob knows it. Everybody knows it. You've seen the videos from people that go there. Nobody really is having any fun. And the only people that show up are the people that basically got scammed out of whatever. The people that paid all that money to go there, and they got to do something. I mean, but it's Bob really, really, really wants to get rid of a certain person, and he can't right now. So he's hamstrung because of the way that company operates. He's working for the board, and the board hasn't seen fit to let a few people, big people, go as of yet. And that's the biggest difference between Bob Chapek and Z. Zaslav is not like that. Warner Brothers is not, structured exactly like that. Zaslav's coming in as a part owner. So, yeah, he gets to walk around and just blow people out at will. He really doesn't care who you are, who you're related to, what you did 5 years ago. He's going to look at the books and go, what did you do for me this past quarter?
Right.
If you're not working to meet the basic needs of this company and to get us more money, why are you here?
Right.
If your job is for you to help us move paper and people here and all these other if you've got a white collar job and you're wearing a tie, how come you're spending a lot of time basically giving notes and trying to quote unquote write, direct some of these projects when it's not your job? Hey, beautiful, how we doing?
Good. Just got back from assignment, so.
Ace is in the building.
There she is. There she is.
Yep. Well, I'm gonna let you guys do this. I've got to get Lex dinner.
Oh, okay.
But
Gotta feed the kid, huh?
oh my God! So we
The
went to
child eats more than AJ and I do combined.
Wait, it'll get worse.
Exaggeration.
Wait.
It'll get worse.
So I was at an event for back to school, and they're doing a taste of Hollister, which is like free food. They have all kinds of restaurants do free food, and she got noodles and pizza and donuts, and now she's hungry again.
Yep,
Is she still hungry?
I'm telling you, man,
She ate
it's insane.
She had a donut for breakfast. For lunch, she had a whole pizza. Then she
Okay.
had 2 chicken strips and mac and cheese.
She was
before we
also
left.
snacking on warheads throughout the course of the day.
She's gonna grow up to be like 5'6" overnight.
She's not far. She's already to my chin.
She's like here to me.
Uh-huh.
Hold on just a minute.
You're obviously she's starving.
Is her head come to a cone?
Hold on. You'll see how tall she is.
A little cone head going on there. Eat mixed quantities.
Come here and say hi to
We
Dee
come
and
from
them.
France.
Dee and Larry.
Fun
And
France.
Hello. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that
How's it
growth
going,
spurt.
Lex?
Looks
Yeah.
like a teenager almost.
almost.
She's getting
11.
there.
she's 11. It makes me feel very, very short.
Makes me feel
Oh,
Well, and she's Lex
Yeah, I
is
mean,
gonna be
when
one
she
of
was
the.
born, they said that she would be at least that she would probably be taller than her mom, that she would be pressing my height, and possibly taller.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
That's live. That's live. You just tripped over your own feet live.
you know what?
Well, Lex will be one of the stars of our new D&D
Yeah.
show we're gonna have
Yeah.
too.
She said, "Peace out." So I
Oh,
will see you guys in a little bit. I'll come back and talk. You
Okay.
guys,
I'll probably trade off with Ace here for a little bit. I've been
Oh.
if it's not blatantly obvious, I've been kind of doing a couple of other things while I've been
what?
listening and stuff.
what?
But
You're supposed
hey,
to
I get
Yeah, we've just been listening
a
to
lot
Keith
of
talk.
necklaces I held up at the beginning of this. I already have all of them
Oh,
untangled.
so he's been working for me. I can't get mad at it.
And right now,
Does it always work for you, AJ?
Just work it, work it.
Well, now, again, any other questions? I mean, I think I pretty much.
how does
Look,
mayonnaise?
look. Okay, let me explain this.
So in the next
How much time?
5 years,
Yes,
who is Batman and who is Superman for us?
as of right now, as far as David Zaslav is concerned, it's who is currently Batman and who is currently Superman. Same people that were before.
Right.
Okay, I mean,
Well,
it. Look, Ben Affleck is still Batman. Henry Cavill is still Superman.
and there's no
everybody that
plans
was
that we
there
know of to change.
For no. That look, Ben Affleck is the one who's come back to replace Michael Keaton
Right.
in a lot of these scenes, and I think he's the person who they're going to lean on a little bit for cutting even more stuff from the character of Mera in Aquaman 2. You don't do that unless you are actually
Are we getting a love story between Aquaman and Batman?
Well, there are certain
It's a
things
classic.
you just
It'll
don't.
be a classic.
A lot of that was, from what we heard in the trial, a lot of that was going to be action scenes and various other things. Again, it helps to integrate that entire universe with what they've been doing post Snyder Cut, and then with Zack Snyder releasing the statement that, as far as he's concerned, what Dwayne Johnson has done with Black Adam and Shazam, that's all in the Snyderverse. I mean, this is one of those things where, as I've been telling you, anybody that is not basically authorized or approved by Zack Snyder, or he didn't plan, you're not in it. You're just not in it. So the entire cast of Birds of Prey, you're gone. Batgirl was never part of Snyder's plan. She's gone.
Right.
Supergirl wasn't part of the plan. She's gone. What we did find out was that originally Snyder wanted to have Ryan Reynolds make an appearance in Justice League, and he was informed no, which is the reason why you went from Hal to John.
Right.
And as I have been saying, the actress that was Batgirl should just go ahead and play Jessica Cruz. Because seriously, if you're going to go up against Darkseid and all of his forces, wouldn't it be best to have as many Green Lanterns on your side as possible? I'm just saying.
Yeah, no.
And again, the big thing is, unless you have somebody running this who actually has read the comics and enjoys the comics, I mean, the other part of your job is to almost be a cheerleader ambassador for this stuff.
Right.
These actors don't know. A lot of them do not read, have never read this stuff.
Right.
So, you have an actress that got the part of Batgirl, and given her age, I'd be very surprised if she's read any of the comics. So she has no idea who Jessica Cruz is, or as a person on one of our other shows said, that's a much better character than even Barbara Gordon, given some of the story stuff they have with that character. But none of these actors know that. And none of the people that are complaining on Twitter know that.
Yeah.
So everybody's been talked to. Everybody got paid. That's the other thing. Everybody got paid. And they were, they were sat down and given an explanation. Hey, look, we're sorry, but the person who you had to deal with previously was an idiot. Your film doesn't fit the direction that we're going. And by the time we are completely done, you'll see that.
Right.
So in order to make your movie fit, we'd have to go back into production and film new scenes. We're not going to do that.
So couple follow-up questions with that. So the Snyderverse, are we going to see a Justice League 2 from the Snyderverse?
Yeah, there'll definitely be a Justice League 2 and probably a Man of Steel, although I don't know if Snyder will direct that. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. It's not just Justice League 2. Remember, it's 2 and 3.
Right.
Okay?
That's what I was going to ask next, was if we're going to get 3 also.
Snyder did indicate that because he put the story out there, fans already knew what 2 and 3 was going to be. Right. So he let everyone know that...
still to follow those... what they were originally going to be?
No, they're going to alter the story.
Okay.
So basically, he and Chris Terrio are going to alter the story from where Justice League ended and where it goes from there. Okay? Because, again, he let the entire cat out of the bag. He let everybody know everything.
Right. Well,
and
he didn't
so
think he was going to get to do it. So,
well, and that was it. But now he is.
Right. Exactly.
Now, here's the other thing. I know that there are some of you out there that actually enjoyed the movie The Batman. What you probably don't know is the movie got a whole lot of notes. Okay, the film did well at the box office,
Yes, it did.
but it also got a lot of industry notes with it. And at the top of the list was if they should choose to make a sequel, they want the director to work on the chemistry between your actors.
Right.
Yeah,
Mainly,
that was my biggest.
Yeah.
I didn't. That was like the one big thing that I didn't
Yeah.
like about it.
they had no chemistry at all. I mean, it was just like watching paint dry sometimes with
It was like,
two of
hey,
them
we
on
met
screen.
and we're supposed to like each other, so we do now.
The other one was you don't have to be dark and gory. You can be dark, you just don't have to be gory about it.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man, what were some of the other suggestions? I think let me just get to the big one. The big one was the next movie. Yeah, we are going to cut your budget. You're not going to be given what you were given before. So if you could make it for around 70 million, that'd be great.
Well, it's a drop in the bucket. What do you want?
Not really. If you know what you've got the costumes, you've got a lot of that stuff. You've got everything built. What else are you really spending?
Just bigger explosions, Keith. Got a bigger explosion.
Oh, got to have big explosions.
And you got to bring in at least
Mike
five
Perry is not directing Batman.
I'd be really happy. I mean, essentially, this was kind of leaning on, the Long Halloween, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the grand scheme of Batman movies that came before, this was a smaller Batman story. And I prefer that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Over some like, oh, it's the Joker again. He's got so many great villains that the layman has never heard of before.
Yes,
because he's never been in a movie or whatever. Like, give us a smaller scale story. I'm perfectly happy.
I want my Calendar Man.
Yes.
Calendar Man and Kite Man team up.
There you go.
Condiment King.
Condiment King.
There's our three villains. You need three villains, so there you go.
But like, they keep talking about Freeze showing up in the sequel and whatever. I'm like, no. I'm fine with a non-real world type villain showing up. I'm fine with that, but not. We don't need to go that big yet. No matter how serious you try to make it, there's an element of camp that's coming into that. Let's steer clear of that for now.
Well, I hate to say that. I think if anybody were to bring Freeze back, immediately the public is going to think of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
And how super camp that was.
Yes.
Well, you could make a serious actor and you could nail Freeze, and it could be as true to the comic as it is, but everybody's going to see Arnold Schwarzenegger in that blue LED helmet.
Yeah. Well, look, here's something that needs to be understood about the Batman. Okay? First and foremost, I don't know if any of you know this. Robert Pattinson was not Matt Reeves' choice.
Right.
That choice was made for him by the people that were running Warner Brothers at the time.
Yeah.
That was part of the deal. If you want to make this movie, you have to cast that actor. Okay? Nicholas Hoult was the choice that Matt Reeves wanted.
Which I cannot see that at all.
I can. He's a great actor. And
I love him as an actor, but I cannot.
I don't think he's right for the Batman role. I mean, he's a good actor. I agree with Shpoo. He's a good actor, but
I didn't say he would be my choice. I said I could see him more so than Pattinson. He probably would have emoted more, and because he can act a little bit more.
Pattinson was just channeling his Twilight girlfriend.
The other thing was the movie actually was made for around $200 million. Now, some of that was because of COVID and various other things, but basically you're talking right around $400 million. So you're deducting $400 million from $770 million worldwide. So,
I'd still take that payday, but
well,
but
I mean,
for a movie studio, I know that's not getting back what you planned there.
well, that's the thing. You have to understand that for the studios, the
Yeah.
current system, all the studios do this whole thing where they have financial projections,
Right.
and it is
Right.
based on those projections as to
Right.
whether or not they think they failed or they did what they were supposed to.
Mhm.
And when they project how much money, and in the case of the Batman with Matt Reeves, their projections were right at $1 billion.
Yeah.
So this film fell way short.
It did.
And they also have Pattinson's deal on top of that. They're going to want to negotiate with him because let's just say they go ahead and greenlight the Batman 2. There's a good possibility that Pattinson may not be in the movie.
We're kind of used to Batman changing. We don't. Our other characters changing, we get upset about, but Batman, we just change actors every movie.
Yeah.
It's what we do.
The other thing is the Penguin series and the Gotham Police series. Now, the GCPD series, yeah, that's gone. And it's looking like the Penguin might follow suit if they can't bring down the price. This is the other thing that Zaslav has to say about streaming. He thinks it's insane to spend theatrical feature amounts of money on stuff that's going to go to streaming.
Yeah.
His thing is, if you can't make it well under $100 million, you shouldn't be making it because you're not going to get that money back.
Right.
You're just not. It doesn't make any sense to spend tremendous amounts of money. So he wants some major cuts. And it's looking like Colin Farrell doesn't want to cut his salary.
Right.
So if this gets to be too much of a headache, Zaslav will go, you know what? You're right, Colin. You deserve a lot more money doing something else. It's gone.
Right.
So, again, the people that were fired or have yet to be fired are the ones that have been doing all of this. And we're going to have to live with their decisions for at least the next year to 2 years before we can finally get to the projects that David Zaslav wants us to see. So it's still going to be a good 2 years before we see anything coming out of this that is meant to be part of the new aesthetic. Alan Horn, who is the genius who at one time worked for Warner Brothers and was asked to leave because, you know, something about him just being of a certain age. And as soon as he was on the beach of this small island that he was able to rent somewhere in Hawaii, helicopter lands and it's Bob Iger saying, I want to hire you to come to Disney and work for me. So a lot of that success that they had up until recently, especially with the Marvel films, a lot of that had to do with Alan Horn, who helped Kevin Feige out of a situation where he felt that he wasn't going to be allowed to make a lot of the movies that he wanted to make because the guy who used to own Marvel still had say over a lot of what they were doing, and that guy wasn't going to allow them to make movies with people of color and women as the leads. So Alan Horn helped to remove Marvel Studios from Marvel Entertainment and set it aside as an individual entity within the Disney Corporation. That was Alan Horn. Before that, Alan Horn was there making the deal for Harry Potter, The Matrix, even the deal for the original Justice League movie. And a lot of the DC films, which I keep telling people was their original phase one. There are a lot of DC movies that got put out towards the beginning of this decade. And at least 2 of those films ended up being nominated for some incredible Academy Awards that had nothing to do with visual effects or art direction. Acting, mainly.
Right.
So this guy knows what he's doing. And he's not officially working for Warner Brothers. He's a consultant. And he's helping David Zaslav figure out where to go.
Right.
So since he did that same job, sort of, except that he had an official capacity at Disney, he was the head of all film production for Disney. He was everybody's boss. He was Kevin Feige's boss. He was Kathleen Kennedy's boss. He was Pixar's boss. He was everybody's boss. And he was the guy that fired James Gunn. And then hired him back.
Right.
Okay? To let you know how things have changed. James Gunn is having the time of his life at Warner Brothers. He is having the time of his life. So much so, his contract with Marvel ends with Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Right.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah.
He's not going to continue on in what was originally planned for him, which was running all of the cosmic films for the MCU. He's decided he's going to stay with Warner Brothers. And he might be able to lure someone to come back with him. So Jon Favreau's been having some problems. And I'm not saying he'll leave Disney for good, but I can actually see him going over to Warner Brothers to make 1 or 2 movies. Because as of right now, if they can't fire Kathleen Kennedy, I think the plan is to allow her to do as much damage as she wants. Just do whatever you want. It'll make it easier for the board to cut her contract, especially when profits start to fall, which is what's happening right now with Paramount. So do not be too shocked if Jon Favreau decides to wander just down the street and make a movie or 2 for Warner Brothers before he wanders back.
That'll be a big miss for Disney if he does. And it'll be great for Warner Brothers. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, again, he's one of the people behind the Orville.
Right.
Right. People keep forgetting that.
Yeah. Which is amazing, by the way.
It's hard to get up every day for work and know that your ideas and what you want to accomplish really isn't treated with respect or of any real importance to the person who's responsible for running that entire division that you're under.
Yeah.
Sounds like corporate life.
But it's in particular one particular person who has decided they don't want to leave for a while. So what do? Do you continue to go to work every day? And while you're surrounded by all the stuff that you love, you can't do anything with it. You're not allowed to do what you want.
Can that particular person be like the head of Disney films in Antarctica? And
they've tried different person out. In fact, Alan Horn retired last year. Now, the original plan was that she was supposed to go with him. She didn't leave.
See, I have no idea what we're talking about.
She's like bed bugs. You think you got rid of them, and she comes right back.
She's gonna stay. She's gonna stay as long as she can get away with it.
Okay.
And I'm telling you right now, unless things change, do not be surprised. A lot of people need to understand. Jon Favreau is a comic book fan, not just a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
He's a comic book fan.
Right.
So, you know that what James Gunn is saying, hey, man, come to this party. We're having fun over here. I mean, look at what they allow him to do with Peacemaker.
Right.
He's already been a character on the animated Harley Quinn series.
Right. He has been. That's
He's having the time of his life, and now it looks like he might get a chance to launch 2 more shows. I mean,
there you go.
It doesn't get any better, and you think Zaslav's going to tell Jon Favreau no?
I'm tagging in.
Oh,
all right.
take care of yourself.
I'll be back in.
Okay.
All right. Welcome, AJ.
Now
We've
for the
got Ace in the
upgrade.
house. It's just like an anime thing, when they go to power up.
Yeah,
we powered up.
Power up.
Her needs to be all spiky.
Right. She's done the Sailor Moon power up there.
Oh, there you go.
There, yeah. I'm okay with that. So I didn't get to watch this because I was on assignment, so I don't know everything everybody's talking about, but I'll try to keep up.
Well,
All right.
we're talking about Warner Brothers and what's been going on. So, do you have a question? Because I know, as a reporter, you have the ability to ask really straight in there questions. So go ahead.
Wait,
let's listen to Keith.
That would mean I was a good reporter. I'm not that good.
Oh,
you are a great reporter.
An ace reporter, even.
You guys are sweet. Well, I'm going to let you guys talk for a minute, and then I'll throw some questions in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. So I do have a follow-up question for you, Keith. So
yeah.
we know who Batman and Superman are going to be. We've lost a Batgirl movie and a Supergirl movie, which probably rightly so.
Yes.
Are we going to see these characters come back in the DCEU, or do you think we're
down the line? Look,
yeah.
You don't have a full Batman universe. See, this is the other thing about Walter Hamada. He didn't get that. No. You're just going to willy-nilly, hey, let's just have a Batgirl movie. Well, okay, if you're going to reorganize everything because of what the Flash has done, why wouldn't you just have a Nightwing come in with her?
Right.
Why couldn't you build out the rest of the family? Why just Batgirl?
Yeah.
That decision was actually made above him by Ann Sarnoff, who thought it was best to have a nearly all-female Justice League. Of course, she was the first person Zaslav fired as soon as he got in there. It's like, 1201. Hey, Ann, you're fired. Like that.
Yeah.
So she had to go.
Listen, I'm all for girl power. I'm the geeky girlness, but an all-girl Justice League, I don't want creators changing things so much to cater to what's PC that it feels weird. Like it should feel natural. It should feel like it's a natural transition. I don't mind them, doing things and expanding things, but I feel it's like a little patronizing as a geeky girl to have creators going, we have to have an all women this and an all women that. No, there are enough female superheroes that currently exist who have amazing stories. If you want to tell an amazing story that gives girls power, then take one that's already there and don't just try to reimagine the whole universe or the whole Justice League or the whole whatever it is to fit what's popular right now. Because the thing is I had to wait years for a Wonder Woman movie. Years. She's one of my favorite characters. I cried when that movie came out because I finally got that. There are so many other amazing characters. Like, don't try to push it into this weird thing just because that's what is PC.
Yeah.
And don't try to make it like, we need some more girl-driven movies, so we're going to try to extend this universe, like you said, the Batman universe. They haven't established it enough in a meaningful way to give us just a Batgirl movie or a Supergirl movie. Like, they haven't established those characters in a universe yet. Yeah. You have to introduce them in a universe before you can give them. They don't just, like, no offense, I love Batgirl, and she deserves her own movie.
Yes.
But not in the middle of the chaos that is going on right now.
Well, not everybody knows who Batgirl is and the story behind it and which Batgirl are we getting.
Yes. And that's the other thing.
Again, there's so, like you said, do a Star Sapphire movie. Do a Power Girl movie. There are literal tons of really good female characters.
Well,
that
Bumblebee is, in my opinion, she is one of the smartest people
Oh yeah.
in the DC universe, and she rarely, Karen rarely gets talked about.
Right.
Even though she invented all that stuff herself, she wasn't somebody's daughter.
Right.
She wasn't some victim of something. She invented this, and it became useful, and it got her an opportunity to work with a group of other individuals. In this case, the rest of the Teen Titans.
Yeah.
And I think between her, you have a character who I thought should have been introduced on the Supergirl series. For anybody that actually read DC Comics, I mean, if you're going to have a character of color, my whole thing was, why didn't you just introduce the character of Steel?
Yeah.
And have his niece
Yeah.
as one of Kara's
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and see, that's the thing. There's just stop changing characters that are very specific. And I get it. You want to be diverse. You want to show girl power. You want to show diversity in it. But there are enough characters, or come up with a new character.
Oh yeah.
To create that diversity.
Yes, and there are those. I mean, again, it comes down to a lot of the people in Hollywood, and this is before the whole comic book craze, which you started entering into this trend where you had a lot of people that just weren't reading scripts anymore. They were hiring people to read scripts for them. And my thing's always been, well, wait a minute. Your job's to basically finance films. If you're going to make a decision about who to finance, why don't you just read the scripts?
Right.
Didn't stop a lot of the people who used to run Hollywood back in its golden era. If you wanted to figure out how good something was or whether or not to finance something, eventually you'd have to read it.
Yeah.
Right.
You'd have to read that.
And it's not like we're talking they're reading War and Peace. It's a movie script. It's like 250 pages max.
And you can tell, I mean, I've read enough scripts and I've read enough bad writing, including scripts, I can tell within the first 25 pages if it's well written or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now I get
reading it, but you can go, oh, this is very well written, or oh, this needs a lot of work.
Yes.
And depending on if this plot is good, you work with what you have.
Right.
Like so many things, I don't know. It just frustrates me. Would I love to see a Batgirl movie? Yes, of course I would. She's one of my favorites. I love Batgirl. But I felt like it was a weird placement in a release because we don't have an established Batgirl in the, you know what I mean? Establish these people a little bit. Like create, or if you're not, don't all go off. DC has more than Batman's universe, like Batman people. Go off and do a Bumblebee. If you want to like get a girl power movie, go off of something other than the Batman, group.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many to choose from. And then you don't have to worry about where it fits into that Batman group and that Batman storyline and, the Flash situation with Ezra Miller. And you don't have to worry about that. You have this. And then eventually you can work them into your Batman when you get that straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
So
there you go. See, you should be working for David Zaslav. He love you. You make sense. Which is what he wants. He wants people that make sense. And he's surrounded by people that don't make sense.
He's in Hollywood. So.
Well, even still, I mean, you could look. What you just said, you could already get hired at Warner Brothers, Disney, and probably Paramount right now.
Yeah,
Paramount's looking around, going, there's a few people we could do without.
Here's the thing: they have to think. You have to think logically with these things, and unfortunately, that's not the case for most situations.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part is with Hollywood, you have to think logically and creatively at the same time.
Right.
You want people running, especially if it's a franchise, if it's a comic book, like world, universe, whatever you're doing, you want creative people running it a little bit. You don't want just like pencil pushers running it because we've seen where that gets you.
Yeah.
That gets you nowhere.
Look, if you want something that is exciting, that is adventurous, that is youthful and energetic, if you want something that can just be everything that we've had in a lot of summer blockbusters over the last 30 years.
Right.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I said it many times, even to Walter Hamada on Twitter. Dude, it's called the Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah.
You do that, and you will have more than enough characters of all different shapes, sizes, races. You'll have it all, and it'll be exciting. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Deaf ears. Deaf ears is what we got.
Well, if you use the 70s costumes, I mean, that can be kind of fun.
Well, that's what I mean. I would not adapt any comic book put out over the last 5 to 10 years.
Well, I'm just thinking of, the 70s Legion of Superheroes costumes were a little more skimpy, and Saturn Girls was a little pink thing, and then you had even, Cosmic Boy's costume. I mean, like, what in the world was that? So,
hey, look,
it was the
70s. It was the 70s,
That's what I'm saying.
So what I'm hearing, though, Keith, is you're okay with them adapting a Liefeld comic and making it like Liefeld draw?
You know what? Compared to what I've seen over the last 5 or 6 years coming out of comics, Rob Liefeld. If it'll get me out of having to sit through any more of the just stuff that I've had to sit through. And I follow Liefeld on Twitter, and it seems, look, he's definitely matured.
Right.
This is not the same guy from 20 years ago.
He's not the same guy who drew Wildcats.
Yeah,
Wildcats.
He is definitely he's got a better understanding of things now, and I just think
Captain America pose.
Well, he's got a better sense of humor.
Yeah.
He can laugh at himself. He can laugh at the fact that people made fun of how he drew feet.
Right.
And how big his guns were. He can laugh at that now because it kind of helps. It kind of helps when you get older and you're married with kids and all that other stuff. And it doesn't hurt that one of the characters that you helped to create became a major box office champion.
Oh yeah.
And that you magically found an actor who could actually physically play that character, fix that character to a T.
We've talked about that in the past on these broadcasts. There are very certain actors who nail those roles and they're iconic.
Oh yeah.
And again, that's the thing with Warner Brothers that you have to understand. This is the mental undoing of the people that used to be there. They took one look at Henry Cavill and just went, no. I mean, look, this guy, he is a nerd through and through.
Oh, yeah.
This is not somebody who just went, I want to be Superman because he knows the character.
And that's a big thing is casting. I feel like, in going back to my whole thing about like diversity and everything, I would love to see if they're going to cast like a diverse person for a role that is traditionally one way versus the other. I have no problem with it if the actor fits that character to the point that it's good. What my problem is they are trying to push the diversity thing into it so much that it doesn't fit the character. And then they have people like Henry Cavill, who, let's face it, is an amazing Superman. And he knows the character. It's kind of like, I can't picture anyone else playing Deadpool now than Ryan Reynolds because he loves the character. He plays the character. These are the people that you need. People who are passionate about the character, know the character, kind of like not just an actor who's coming in who like maybe looks a certain way, but who actually can, if you ask them a question about the character, they get the character.
Yes.
They expand the character. It's like I know we're talking DC, but when Tom Holland, like came in for his audition and he like was like doing a backflip and like super excited, he was Peter Parker.
Yeah, well, Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck grew up a Batman fan.
Yeah,
he collected the comics.
Yes.
And that was well before he was cast. So
pick somebody who knows the character, especially these, not if you're having like a very obscure character, that's different because a lot of people won't know them. But if you have a major character that has been around for a long time that people know, pick somebody who, one, fits that character, but two, knows that character, because they're going to play it so much better.
Mm-hmm. Cavill has done so much in the time that he's had that part. One of my favorite memories of him was from 2016. He was at San Diego Comic-Con, and he put on he had on this T-shirt because he had bulked up for Superman because he was getting ready to do Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And no, he was coming off of Batman v Superman. He had bulked up and was wearing a Suicide Squad shirt because they had the cast of Suicide Squad there signing. So he put on just a regular mask, just with the T-shirt, jeans. He just put on a mask, no hat, no nothing, and just went through the line to get his T-shirt signed. So the cast would sign his chest. And he got up there in front of Will Smith, and he's signing, and he lifted up his mask, and Will's like, whoa! He's a fan. He is a fan through and through. And he gets all of this. He gets how people react to him. He gets how this character should be played. You may not like a lot of the stories that he's been in, but when you listen to him in interviews, he gets it.
Right.
And that's the reason why, as time passes, I mean, the thing that really, I don't want to say hate's a strong word, that makes me dislike a lot of the people that have been in charge of Warner Brothers, is that they were all just petty people.
Yeah.
The reasonings why they did what they did had nothing to do with anything other than just pure, unadulterated pettiness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when it's all about you and not about what you can help bring as a product to your company and everything else, that's the problem. And
it is.
It's not about you. It's really about what you're putting out there. Especially doing movies, you're trying to bring people in and get them away from their life to be able to enjoy 2 hours or whatever and to really get into what this is. And yet you're causing all these problems because it's about you. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with that is the fact that when they do that, yes, their movies are still going to make money, but like people like us, the ones that are really, really nerdy, geeky, fans, we can see that there's no passion and no love for the things that we love and we're passionate about, and it doesn't transition onto the screen. It doesn't, like, the actors can do it, and that's why I said, like, Henry Cavill, amazing. Superman. I wish that people who are higher up, not on screen, but the ones behind the scene, had as much passion for the projects as he does or as Ben Affleck does. Right. Because
I mean, you get that. I mean, sometimes you get that.
Yeah.
Like you, Zack Snyder and James Gunn, and you get that. And you can really see it in John's Iron Man. He really loved it.
Yeah.
But then you get people who just literally have no idea what they're doing, and they just, I got a check, so let's cobble something together.
That's it. And it's way too much of that. Yeah. There's way too much of just people collecting checks, because when you see Henry Cavill with fans, when you go on Instagram and you see all these people, all these fans that get a chance
Make
to
a wish when he was doing it in the Superman costume. That's just like, that's right here.
Yes. Yes. Or you see him random out on the streets. Some of my favorite pictures was he started doing this thing where he was in New York City. It was raining. He was wearing a trench coat, but he opened up the trench coat and he had on the Superman shirt. And he was just standing there. He wasn't wearing glasses or a hat or anything. Just standing there, just waiting to see if anybody recognized him.
Right.
You know?
I like the picture of him walking his nephew to school
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
as Superman. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like his little nerdy heart loves the idea that he is Superman.
Right.
How many guys wanted to grow up and be Superman?
I just like watching him when he's building computers. Have you guys not watched that when he's on Twitch? Just building it's just like, oh wow, yeah, no, you're really nope, that's okay.
Or
Yeah,
how about those pictures of him visiting DC headquarters?
Right.
And he's standing next to, the
Superman
mannequin that's wearing his costume. And the one picture I can think of is where he was working out for The Witcher, so he got bigger. I mean, he was bigger than the costume.
For The Witcher.
So I mean, he was like, oh my god, he's actually bigger than the costume now.
Yeah.
He's gonna have to lose weight and lose muscle mass just to fit into it.
Yeah.
And it's just, this guy loves this. And you can tell even with Jason Momoa, he loves it.
Yeah.
He loves being Aquaman.
It's not the actor's fault that the scripts or the story are bad. And a lot of people watching the movies go, oh, I don't really like that movie. It's not the actor's fault. They're doing the best they can with what they have.
Wonder Woman 84.
Oh, Wonder Woman 84.
I liked Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman 84.
Yes.
The story
was
trash.
It was so
the acting was amazing, and she was doing the best she could for what she did. Kind of like with Batman v Superman. Yeah. That is not how I would have ever done a Batman Superman story, and I don't think 95% of any comic book artist, or not artist, but aficionado would have done that movie. But Affleck and Cavill did an amazing job for what they had.
Well, and so did Snyder. Remember, Snyder's plan wasn't to make that movie.
No.
He was originally focused on making Man of Steel 2. Mm-hmm. And the studio informed him that, hey, it's great. You got Superman. Now you're going to have Batman in there. And this thing was well, that's not the story I'm telling.
The Superman animated show already did the best
World's Finest.
Yeah. I mean, that's, if you're going to do a Batman Superman movie, just copy paste that script.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Like, if nothing else, there's a moment from that animated movie that should have been in the live action movie. Batman's beating up a bunch of guys. Superman comes in just to, who is this guy? Let's check him out. Comes up, just puts his hand on his shoulder, and without even looking, Batman just goes and just judo flips him over his head. And Superman's like, "What just happened?"
Yeah. Between that scene in World's Finest and when he tags Clark's cape, and he's got a telescopic vision to see.
It just goes.
That's if that would have been in there.
Where even?
Dream.
Well, that's because people aren't fans who are running these shows.
Yeah,
no, they're not.
Look at these things.
But that's the thing with Zack Snyder.
I don't even care. You could have it be the most lame character of all time. Make a matter-eating lad movie. I don't care.
Hey, matter-eating
Bruce
lad
Timm
matters.
make a movie, please.
Yeah.
Let Bruce Timm make a live-action movie.
Well, you were talking. You were saying something about Zack Snyder.
Here's the thing about Zack Snyder. I don't know if a lot of people really realize this, but in making Batman v Superman, what he did was he just poured everything from all the different iterations of Batman. Yeah. He didn't just take stuff from the comics. He took stuff from the animated series. Look, you cannot tell me that it was any coincidence the scene where Bruce has that moment where he gives that smirk, and it looks exactly like the way they draw him for Batman the animated series. Mm-hmm. Or the scene where Lex Luthor is watching the security footage from when Batman took the kryptonite, and notice how he took out the guard. That matched exactly the way that you play the Batman video game.
Yeah.
Right.
There was great nods.
Well, they kind of said that whole scene where he comes in and, like, when he saves Martha, beats up all those guys.
Yeah.
That was taken straight from the art.
Gosh. Yeah. You know what? I had waited my entire life to see that played out, almost literally out of the comic page.
Honestly, that was one of the best fight scenes I have seen in a long time. So the Batman fight scene in Batman v Superman, Daredevil Hall scene. They are so close.
They are so close.
It's just amazing.
Yes.
I was like, that's done.
Yes, and again, you have to see that you can make movies, and if you have no understanding or no past with that stuff, that's fine. You can still find something to hook you in to be able to do something. When they were making Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, what you had was a director that was hired who knew nothing about Star Trek.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. So what did he do? He went out and actually did something really kind of radical. He went ahead and just started watching episodes.
Right.
And made it through nearly the
Source
entire
material. What?
Crazy.
I know, right?
That's an amazing idea.
And so in doing that,
I'm a fan of it. They just have to understand it. That's the big thing. They don't have, like, if you get hired as a director of a show and you don't know anything, go and learn about it.
yeah.
You don't have to then become a fan of it. You just have to understand what you're
And he
directing.
did. And he did. And he compared it to, he said, well, this is nothing more than H.M. Forster's Horatio Hornblower, which then gave the nautical type nod. And in my opinion, really helped that movie.
It did. It definitely did.
And so, again, he will tell you to this day, it's like, I have an appreciation of Star Trek. I'm not a Star Trek fan, but I have an appreciation of it for what they were able to accomplish. That's what you need. Patty Jenkins was the one that changed Wonder Woman 84. Okay. Her whole thing, and this is not a new thing. This is really an old thing with her. She doesn't like doing, in her opinion, she doesn't like repeating things, which is part of the reason why Wonder Woman wasn't really supposed to be her first comic book film. She actually was hired for Thor 2.
Yeah.
And this was a different Thor 2. This was the original Thor 2, not the movie that we saw, but the movie that they had written with Hela as the villain. And she left because the plans changed. Kevin Feige wanted to change the story. She liked the story she was making. She didn't agree with all the changes, so she left. And that pissed off the lead actress, and then that caused a whole lot of other problems that lasted for a few years. But when Patty came on to Wonder Woman and made the first Wonder Woman film, in her mind, that gave her license to basically, once Zach was gone, just do whatever she wanted to do. And so she did. That's
so ironic. You said she doesn't like to do the same thing over again. She literally brought back the love interest. She literally, she made the same story, very similar story with the love interest. Oh, it was a hot mess.
And nobody told her no. And on top of that, she made a mistake with the beginning of the film because it contradicts the movie she just made.
Yes. Oh my God.
The whole movie contradicts. She's losing her powers, except for when she's not. They
took Wonder Woman on a whiteboard and just wiped it clean and wrote in 84.
Yes,
that's
all they did. We're ignoring everything else.
It was like they had two different movies. Here's a movie that is a Wonder Woman movie, and here's a movie that is just a rom-com.
A bad rom-com.
Like every other page is from the other script.
If you want to make it a rom-com, throw in Bruce Wayne in it and be fine.
So that's my other thing. Like, I'm literally and Keith, we've talked about this when we talked about the Wonder Woman 84. Okay, Wonder Woman, the first one, loved. Oh my gosh, everything I wanted in a Wonder Woman movie. Second one, at the end of the first one, she thanks Bruce Wayne for bringing back memories of her love that she hasn't had for like decades. No, it's not since 1984 when you used another man's body for him.
Well, the whole first movie is like you've been in hiding for the better part of a century, except for just a couple of years ago when you were pretty active. But
Right.
but besides that,
Yes.
You've been in hiding. I mean, listen.
Don't watch the man behind the curtain.
Yes.
Invisible Jet, which we can't find anymore.
And I understand.
The poor boy on the airfield that's walking.
Right. I understand the logic about like bringing in the 1980s, because with Stranger Things and with other things coming up, it was like, oh, nostalgia. No, you've literally set it up at the end of your own movie that, one, she hasn't thought about him since she went up flying and died. So that's one. Two, that she's been in hiding and hasn't like done anything since she did that, really. And now you're having her like go around and saving the whole world, and people see her and blah blah blah, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
And then
here's the other warrior woman is completely willing to give it up for a dude she knew for a few days.
And what? How about this one?
In a different body.
Yeah,
they had a connection to the original movie.
Get me started
and they filmed a sequence that helped to tie the two in.
Yeah.
And then never ended up showing it. They just used pictures,
which is a problem.
And so, Etta, Steve's secretary, Etta.
I love Etta. Etta Candy is one of my favorite characters ever.
That actress actually came back for Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had her get dressed up. They put her in old age makeup, and they filmed the scenes with her coming with Diana, coming to America. Touring America, that whole 9 yards, and you see some of the pictures on her desk. They ended up using a lot of that stuff for the pictures, but they actually filmed a lot of this. And
she was better.
Yeah, it's the final person still left alive from that original group,
right?
And so this is the last person for whom she, in this world, outside of everyone on the island. This is the last person for whom she has a tie with, and that actually has a tie to Steve.
Yeah, and it would have made it so much better. Yeah. And I seriously think when they said they were going to do a Wonder Woman 2, my hope was that they did a Diana and Etta, like, if you want to go girl power, just so that's out there, you should have teamed them two up, because in the comics they're great together.
They are.
They're so good together, and all I got was pictures on a wall. Like, no. Etta and Diana, they should have left off when Steve died and showed their friendship and how they comforted each other and how they became friends and how they traveled together and how they did all these things. That would have been the Wonder Woman Part 2 that I would have made.
See, I'm hoping
there you go.
We get that in the new universe is more cohesiveness between the movies. When Disney did something with Marvel, they've laid connections down. Nothing Disney does goes without merit.
Oh no.
Even if it's something you consider a throwaway, they pay off 10 years down the road.
Here's the thing. Marvel's starting to have some problems.
Well, yeah.
And nothing that it's not that I hate anything, but they are starting to have some problems. Part of it because there's so much. You're doing all of this planning, and Kevin Feige can't really oversee everything.
No.
So you have things like Black Widow, which was a problem for me because that was not a proper send-off for that character.
They didn't make a Black Widow movie. No. What are you talking about? I remember having this fever dream once where I watched Black Widow movie, but that wasn't real.
When you film an entire movie with a male stuntman, and then you suddenly have this idea, hey, let's just change it into a woman. And so instead of going back and refilming all that stuff, you just sort of have somebody take off a helmet and look, it's a woman. Oh. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
So bad.
You didn't know that?
No, I had read about it, and it was
that movie Taskmaster
Black Widow
is a
female.
man
Yeah.
in Marvel
Right.
Comics.
Right.
And so they
Black
filmed
Widow
it with a man.
Yeah.
And it is only on the set that they come up with this, let's do this thing where it's a woman.
And that's what I'm saying. Literally, I'm so tired.
Insert conversation that you and I, Keith, have had a number of times now.
I'm so tired. And this is, if anyone is watching this or watches this and they want a woman's perspective and a geeky, like, I've been a geeky girl since people who are doing these shows before they were born. A lot of them. So I'm just going to tell you, if you want to take strong female characters, strong female villains, there are enough of them out there. You do not have to change one
No.
to get us to watch it. Give us strong female characters. That's fine. I'm all for that.
So,
I'm all for girl power.
There's
But don't change so much. Like, if it doesn't make sense in the story, and that one didn't make sense, like, why?
Yeah.
Why is that going? When
that's
a
a beef that I've had with Hollywood for quite some time now, and it's only getting worse. And I've made the argument a number of times, and there was a part of me that just had this horrible feeling that somebody, and I'm sure somebody has or would eventually get the wrong idea from it. And I finally had the conversation with Keith about it. And I was so happy that you agreed and actually took it a step further than what I had always said. I am all for diversity. It's great. It's wonderful. I'm all for it. I applaud it. But the whole putting diversity in your movies, whether that be changing a male character to female or vice versa, changing the race of a character,
background,
not because that actor was the right person for the role, but just to do it to create diversity for your movie.
There's enough.
Stop it!
There's enough characters.
Stop it.
Listen, if you can't think of a strong black man or woman character in comics,
tons.
you're not reading enough comics.
And Keith actually took it the step further by saying doing that is actually more racist
it is.
than it would be to not have a single person of color or
And here's
all white males only.
And it's not just it's not
it's
just
stupid.
It's not just comic books. It's like
It's every movie.
I love historical fiction shows. Like I love
God.
them. I cannot take it when they are literally having like characters being in roles they wouldn't have been. If you're writing a story in the 1700s, you are not going to have a woman
AMC's
running
The
a
Interview with the
business.
Vampire movie. Louis is played by a black man, or at least I'm not sure if he's maybe mixed, but he's at least got.
But he was a slave owner. Like Louis' character's a slave owner.
In the end, I agree with that. Yeah. No, I agree.
Stop doing that. I get it. There's enough. And if there's not, if you, as somebody who is making a movie, think, I don't find a character of a certain race or a certain gender, if I can't find a character that's a strong character that I want to write, stop using other characters. Create your own.
Right.
Yeah.
Or have somebody create them, because trust me, I know a lot of writers out there who could totally make amazing characters for you. Guess what? You just have to ask them.
Yeah.
You stop changing people just to try to appease us as women or people of color. Stop doing it, because guess what? It's starting to piss us off.
Dear Marvel, Daughters of the Dragon. That's all I gotta say.
Daughters
of the Dragon.
Yes.
I've been saying that for quite a while.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
have
thing.
been.
Just look a little deeper. If there is enough content with enough characters, look a little deeper.
Guardians of the Galaxy has proved that you can take a more obscure character. Before that movie came out, you ask 10 people who are moderate comic book fans.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. No,
You
I
ever heard
know
of
where you're
Guardians
going.
of the Galaxy? And probably like 7 of them would be like, no,
I
who's
love
that?
Guardians. But
Or
that's
they
the
get
thing.
one, and it's only because Star-Lord has been in other things, and that's
Right.
it.
Yeah.
But they're gonna know who Drax is. They're not gonna know Mantis. They're not gonna know that Groot wasn't really, Groot as we know him.
Yeah.
Because when he was originally Groot, he was a
Right.
monster.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and then you have what James Gunn did that, then turns around for DC and goes, let's do Peacemaker. Let's take this obscure character and just go wild with him.
I loved him in Suicide Squad, and I loved him in the HBO Max movie. I
want an entire.
I'm finally glad we can see John Cena.
Listen, and here's the thing with it. That proves that there are enough. And like, we have how many decades worth of comic books to go through? Go through some of them. Find these people that literally no one's heard of, and guess what? You don't then have to tie them in to the Batman universe or any other Marvel character. They could be their own movie.
Now that is a catch, because if Guardians of the Galaxy had come out and it hadn't been part of the MCU, same movie, just outside the MCU entirely, would it have done as good?
I think so.
I
It was an original film.
Yeah.
It felt like it had that spirit of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, none of those jokes are really jokes that tie in with the rest of the MCU.
No.
That film is pretty much
moved as far as the movie itself goes, but you have at least a portion of your audience that's going to that movie because it's part of the MCU.
Right, you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
If that had not been the case, I'm not saying it would have done well, but it definitely would not have done as well.
I don't think it would have done as well opening weekend.
I think, it would have been a slow burn.
I don't think it would have done as well opening weekend, but I think that as soon as people heard from people who went to see it opening weekend, it would have done as well. Not only that, but it had the right cast. It had the right soundtrack.
Right.
That's a big thing.
Oh my God, the soundtrack!
Soundtrack, amazing. Like,
well, that's James Gunn. I mean, that's the man.
But see, that goes back to what Keith was saying earlier. Is that cast of Guardians of the Galaxy meshed really well together, and you could tell it on screen. And even you, Shpoo, talked about it a little earlier. They didn't fall flat. They hit every note. They hit every cue. You could tell they were invested with each character, as opposed to in the Batman where it was just Robert Pattinson reading a line.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the Marvel characters, or actors rather, I know, I don't know about all of them, but I know a good number of them. Benedict Cumberbatch was one of them, where he was like, I read comics as a kid. He's like, I wasn't like big, huge comic book nerd, whatever. He's like, but I read comics growing up. He's like, but then as soon as I knew I was going to be playing this role, he went out and he bought as many things as he could get his hands on.
And it's the Star Trek thing that Keith was talking about.
And by the time the camera started rolling, not only did he know that character inside and out, but he's like, I'm a huge fan now.
Right, and that's the thing.
Even stopped during filming. Like, they paused filming. They like took a break or whatever, in costume, went to a comic shop to buy comics.
Now,
beautiful.
I was just going to add, Brandon Lee is a good example.
Yeah.
He didn't actually really use the Crow script too much. He had the comic in his binder and was using that as his guide for that movie.
Yeah.
And how beautiful that turned. Like,
even though the movie and the comic are completely different.
But he
himself,
the actor, acts like the character in the comic.
Mm-hmm.
Even though his script is different, he does. He like, that the director's different. Well, that's partially the director and the script.
Yeah.
You can't, and that's what Dee was saying earlier. You can't fix things that are like director and script, but the actors. You can tell when an actor really knows their character and really trying.
I've said this on our show before, Shpoo. I honestly think if you want a banging, really good comic book movie script, you got to hire the comic book writers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they know the material the best of anybody out there because they've been writing it for decades.
Right.
Why not just go, hey, I know you've been doing this for 5 or 6 years. Why don't we just pull you off for a little bit?
I will do you one better. You could do what they did with Superman, the movie, which was Mario Puzo wrote Superman.
Yeah.
I should say he wrote
Yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had to take a piece of that to create the first movie.
Yeah.
And use the other half for the sequel.
Yeah.
Which is also smart.
Yes.
It's smart. It gives you a cohesive story.
Well, now they weren't entirely successful because remember, their biggest thing was they couldn't come up with an ending.
Right.
They had no ending for the for the first
The
movie.
first one to cut off.
They had an ending for the second one, and so they took the ending from the final part of the story, from the end of everything, and used it in the first movie, which then created a problem for ending the second film.
Yeah.
Right.
But their idea was sound because Mario Puzo did that, but Tom Mankiewicz was the one that Richard Donner brought in to actually write the scripts.
Yeah.
And so all of that fun stuff that you had in those movies was really Tom Mankiewicz doing it. And that movie still to this day stands as one of the best experiences one can have watching a comic book movie. And mainly from people that weren't that concerned with the comic because it has its problems. There are a few things in there that don't make sense, especially, I'm looking right at you, Superman 2. Really? Teleportation, really?
Shield.
With an S shield.
Yeah.
It's not perfect.
It's not going to be the funniest thing that has ever been written for Superman. So
yeah, but if he had that power, why didn't you just use it to suddenly show up in France and rescue Lois?
Yeah.
Right.
He hadn't leveled up enough. He hadn't talked to Shinra on the dragon yet.
You go with that. You go with that.
He can only do that in the Fortress of Solitude. That's
Exactly.
So,
He didn't pay for the DLC yet.
It is. Yeah, go ahead, Larry.
So get us kind of back to where we were because this has been a great discussion, guys. I've actually loved this. This has been amazing. So I've got a question. So in your opinion, Keith, does the apology of Ezra Miller coming out last night affect his ability to be able to stay as Flash, or is he still kind of sunk in that role? They may reshoot it. Where do you think that gets him? And do you think that was motivated by the fact that the Flash is getting some heat?
From what I heard from my good friend Mikey Sutton,
that's who I want you to bring in. We need to get Mikey on here sometime.
Yeah, I know it's hard to get him to stay in one spot.
Well, he's got his ear to the ground, so
I know.
He knows everything.
I know.
So.
Between him and Cell, I mean, those guys are just bringing it. But let me just say this: they had three options, and what ended up happening with Ezra releasing that statement means they're going to go with the first option, which is get him some help, have him apologize, and eventually shoot whatever they got to shoot, edit whatever they got to edit, and eventually put this movie out probably sometime next year. If they can at least keep Ezra on lockdown until after the movie comes out.
He needs a handler. Or, I'm sorry, they need a handler.
Well, here's the thing. Michael Keaton, just between us, so just because we're all friends here, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's listening, Keith.
What I heard was that Michael Keaton was really one of the people that was not very happy.
Yeah.
About the Ezra Miller situation.
Right. I can see.
And along with, David Zaslav, the boss. So it was very important for Ezra to consider his options and realize that he only had two, which is basically get himself some help and finish this movie, or be locked in a room with Ezra Miller and the directors of Batgirl and Leslie Grace, who was the star of Batgirl, and let them work it out with Ezra with a couple of baseball bats. Now, because that his situation affected their situation.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that at this point you've already spent just a little north of over $200 million on this thing, and I'm sure the shareholders, Alan Horn, David Zaslav, have had a lot of discussions.
Oh yeah.
You're already having to make changes to Aquaman 2 because, again, Walter Hamada, who officially still reports to the lot, he just reports to this small office with a desk
Got his own little area. It's fine.
and a non-working phone.
That's what we need Kathleen Kennedy doing.
Couldn't they just put him in the tower with Yakko Wacko?
Oh no! Because then they'd kill him. But he waits to hear until Zaslav has another question that needs to be answered. I think Zaslav is waiting until something actually doesn't do that well, so that then he could just let him go. Now, the real story is that Hamada's contract is up when Black Adam premieres in October. Okay, of course that's not what his people are telling.
Somebody was
Hollywood
talking,
Reporter
when this whole 10-year plan dropped, that he got up and actually started to walk out, and that they kind of stopped him and was like, "Look, your contract is up here in October. Just hang out until Black Adam comes out, and then we can do this right."
Yeah, no, that didn't happen. I'll tell you that much. That much I learned from Mikey. That was established well before Zaslav got there. Zaslav could care less what he does, because seriously, I mean, Zaslav, as I said before, took a year.
Yeah,
he went to anyone that would take a meeting with him. Former studio heads, not just people that worked at Warner Brothers. I mean, former studio heads for other studios. People like Steven Spielberg, George Lucas. I mean, he went everywhere. And then got to look at the books. Got to look at what they had done. He knows where the bodies are buried, basically. And so he's going around, he's one of these bosses that, he realizes what you've done. He's waiting for you to lie to him the first time so he can just go, okay, you're fired. Because that's his whole thing. And unlike a lot of the other studio heads, he doesn't have to wait for anyone to tell him no. He doesn't have to run this past anyone. He is the final decision maker at Warner Brothers.
Right.
So if he wanted to fire an entire division, which technically he's done with animation, he can.
Yeah.
And nobody can say anything.
Right.
So Walter Hamada knows his butt's in a sling right now. And the only thing that's going to get him fired quicker is if Black Adam comes out and doesn't do that well. Then Zaslav is just going to basically take the remains of Hamada's body. I mean, it's going to help Hamada travel to someplace really nice and far away.
Yes.
Which, as much hype as we've had for this movie and as hard as they are plugging it, I don't think it looks like...
Here's the thing, though. Do you realize how long?
Like 1994.
Yeah, it's like you've got somebody here. Dwayne Johnson wants to make a movie with you.
Yes.
And you make him wait years.
7 years or 8 years now.
8 years.
8 years, yeah.
And part of that was really negotiating with him as far as what he can have in the movie.
Right.
He's going, hey, look, I want my character. I want to be with Shazam. I'd like us to at least, meet the Justice League. No. Okay, guys. I get it. Okay, if I can't meet the Justice League, can I at least meet the Justice Society? Who's that? Don't worry about it. We'll write it in. You'll like them. And he is a comic book guy who's trying to take advantage. Remember, this is all because the person who should have the main job, the big job, who should be a comic book aficionado of some type, who runs everything, wasn't.
Yeah.
He didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
He had no idea who these characters were. He just sort of started trying to riff on things. You can't riff when you're dealing with millions, sometimes billions of dollars.
I think my biggest fear is the fact that they've got Dr. Fate in there, and he's one of my top 3 favorite comic book characters of all time, and I just know.
At least they cast the right person for
Yes,
Dr. Fate.
I am happy with.
I mean,
he looks cool.
It looks good. Pierce Brosnan looks really good in that role. Again, you can't fault the actor if it's a bad script.
Yes. And that's the thing. It's if they don't get the script right and they don't get the characters right, even if the actor is playing the character right, it doesn't matter, because
it doesn't matter.
If the script is wrong, or even if not just the script is wrong, but the plot.
It just looks like one of those things where like every line in that trailer, which granted, what I'm about to say is going to be like, well, yeah, duh. Every line in that trailer sounds like a line that was written for a trailer.
Yeah.
And it might have been. I mean, we've been seeing a lot lately that trailers, what you see in the trailer doesn't always go to the movie.
Yeah.
Well,
I hope that's the case, but it just looks like it's going to be just constant, like I said, a superhero movie from the 90s where it's just constantly making lines about, well, that line could go in a trailer, that line could go in a trailer, about just like, I'm tortured soul and these powers are a curse.
It's sound bites.
I'm cool.
It's a script full of sound bites instead of a script with a story.
Yes.
It's a script.
And
it's not so work.
This has been a part of the problem that they've had. Look, I know, again, as I said earlier, I know that there were people that really enjoyed the Batman. They really enjoyed what Matt Reeves did. But let me tell you something. Do you remember how Matt Reeves got to Warner Brothers?
No, not
okay. Matt Reeves is actually originally a part of Bad Robot.
Yeah.
He came out of the J.J. Abrams school.
Right.
So his whole demand for, I want a separate universe, I want to do what I want to do with the Batman, that's where that comes from, because that's the way JJ is. Remember, JJ, the guy who told Paramount, hey, about the Star Trek movie I got, look, I'd like you to do me a favor and just stop selling any of the original character merchandise. No, not anything specific. I want you to stop selling all of it. You got to stop selling all of it, so that the only Captain Kirk people are buying is my Captain Kirk.
Right.
The only Spock they're buying is mine. He tried to do the same thing with KK, and she said no. But the thing about Matt Reeves is that he was given a script. He was given Ben Affleck's script.
Yeah.
Which had been modified by Jeff Johns. And he made a big deal out of taking time off because he thought the script needed adjusting, and started talking to the media about how much of a comic book fan he was. So on top of everything else, the Batman should have at least been out almost 3 years before it actually hit.
Right.
Because he was taking his sweet time writing the ultimate script. Of course, we got what we got, and I personally was not that impressed with that script, given how much and how long he made everybody wait. But given some of the people, like Walter Hamada, who were running things and thought, this is going to save my ass, just get it made. That was his whole thing. Stunt casting, stunt hiring, hiring J.J. Abrams and making that deal to give him $500 million. Excuse me. Okay. And for which he's really not done anything. Has anybody seen a J.J. Abrams DC movie yet? Because I haven't seen one, and it's pretty much a good thing for Zaslav when he found out. Well, wait. So we don't owe him any money until he actually produces something. Get J.J. Abrams on the phone.
I mean, all he's going to do is hold the camera up to a light and just have lens flare. Here's your new comic book character, AJ Lens flare.
Look, all I know is Zaslav's going to say, "Look, I don't see a movie, so why are you here again?" And as soon as he starts to say black super, and he's gone.
Yeah.
I'd fire him. It's like, look, JJ, I like you. Hold on, I just lied. I don't like you. Get out. I mean, it's just, he's got to go. The only thing.
Superman movie, I'm cool with that, but yeah.
Yeah, when you ask Michael B. Jordan and he goes, look, JJ, I can't do your movie because, one, I've actually read a comic book. That's not the character I want to play. If I want to do Calvin Ellis. Who? Calvin. Look, aren't you a comic book fan? Haven't you? Calvin Ellis? Google that. You'll figure it out. If you want to make me Calvin Ellis, I'll sign right up right now. But if you don't, Calvin Ellis?
Yeah.
He's the Superman from an alternate universe who's actually the president of the United States.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. The same person then. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I forgot his real name. I was just like, I know that there is that. It's Earth 2, isn't it?
No. This is see, there's two of them. There's Calvin Ellis and there's Val Zod.
Val Zod's from Earth 2.
Oh, Earth 23. Okay. This is the one I was thinking, but I had the number wrong.
Yeah. And so Michael B. Jordan signed a deal. Michael B. Jordan signed a deal with Milestone. So he's actually connected to Milestone Media. And he, I think, is going to be a producer on the Static Shock film. But also, I think he's going to be the star of Icon.
Oh.
I cannot wait.
I would have thought of that, but yes, that would be awesome.
Well, and again, those looking for strong female representation, that story will give it to you. Yeah, because that is the crux of the entire thing with Icon.
Yeah.
When you get to the end of the story and he turns to Rocket and he's like, I'm going home. And she's just like, you can't leave. And it's like, no, I'm going home. I've been here all this time. I haven't been able to get home. I can go home now. She goes, well, what are we going to do without a hero? And he turns to her and is like, well, that's because that hero's you.
Right.
This is your planet.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're ready. I get to go home.
I'm just so tired of them making movies where they think they're like making movies for us.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and it's just patronizing.
Yes.
Well, on top of that, she is a young woman that goes through a lot. Her character goes through a lot in the comics. In fact, she has a child out of wedlock, and it's a special needs child.
Right.
And I mean, all of that. Okay, it's not ideal, but it's a part of her story.
Right.
It's a part of her story.
I know.
Do this. This is something you've never seen before. Yeah.
I mean, you want a strong female character. Like, you get a mother who has a special needs child.
And what's the diversity thing we haven't really tapped into? Special needs. So you would think they would be eating it up. And I hate the fact that I'm saying that, but it's absolutely true.
But at least it's true to the character.
Yeah. And here's one.
That's why you don't have to make things up from characters that are already created.
And then you have the entire Milestone universe. Walter Hamada never greenlit anything. He could have. He never did anything.
A little throwback here to you, and let's see if you remember this or not.
Okay?
An open letter to Hollywood in general. Dear Hollywood, stop it.
The thing.
Hollywood does not need to try to reinvent characters that have been around for decades. Nor does Hollywood need to give us an origin story every time.
Oh God, I know it. So that frustrates me so bad. I don't care if you switch actors. I love Spider-Man. Love Spider-Man. What I loved about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, it wasn't the origin story.
And that's really one of the things I liked about the Batman.
Yeah.
We didn't spend Act 1 about the death of Thomas and Martha. We just
my parents died.
Hey, there it is. We dealt with this issue. We're still dealing with this trauma, but we're going on with the story.
And listen, if it's an obscure character and you need to do an origin story, that's fine. But these characters that have already had movie after movie after movie made about them, or that are so mainstream, like Batman, Spider-Man, those characters, I don't know anyone who doesn't know their
even more obscure characters. I like take the Incredible Hulk, for example. I love how they did it.
Yeah, no
flashbacks thrown over the opening credits.
Yeah.
That was it. That told you everything you needed to know.
So, here's the dude. He was in a lab accident. He's got powers now. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
But if they're going to do origin stories, do origin story. If you're a director and you're like, I really want to do an origin story, do origin stories on characters that nobody knows their origin stories yet.
Yeah.
Characters that have been done to death.
And stop making the origin take up
Act
7
1.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ambush Bug, we need the origin story. So. Ambush Bug, nobody's gonna know him. So.
You know what? That would be interesting. That would definitely be interesting.
James Gunn not do a great Ambush Bug story there.
I would hope that since they screwed up the opportunity to do this on the Supergirl series, I would hope that with Superman and Lois that they would help to introduce the character of Ron Troop. Because that is one character, like a lot of other characters, that has never really been seen too much by Hollywood. Now, to be fair, Smallville had Ron Troop for about 37 seconds.
Yeah, it was like blinking, you're gone.
Yeah. So they had him, and I was not that disappointed by not having him, but as a character, as one of the few really cool black characters within the Superman universe, to not have him at all, especially in Supergirl.
Right.
When you change Jimmy Olsen, you could have just had him instead of Jimmy Olsen.
That's right. It would have made more. See, Jimmy Olsen's a photographer. Ron Troop was like the number 2 reporter at the Daily Planet.
It sure wasn't Cat.
So,
but going back, that change didn't bother me as much, casting wise, because he stayed fairly true to the character.
Right.
Yeah, but it was an unnecessary change.
But
you already had characters that could have fit.
Could have fit it, yes.
To do that meant that it was a stunt more than anything else. It was just
like I said, like if he was the right actor for the role, great. If he just had a better reading than anybody else at the audition, okay, fine, cool. All for that, don't care.
But I agree. There were definitely more characters they could have brought in Supergirl than Jimmy Olsen. I think they were just bringing in Jimmy Olsen as name recognition.
And unfortunately, and also as
Jimmy Olsen was also in the Supergirl movie.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and on top of that, he knew Superman's identity, which makes no sense. Right. Not that having Ron Troop know it would make any more sense.
Right.
But if you're wanting a character that he would trust with his identity, but also trust to watch and look after his cousin and even help her, that brings me all the way back to Steel, John Henry Irons, and his niece.
Yeah, there's just good circle.
I mean, the thing is, it's just I think a lot of the people who are making these decisions have, if they're not doing comic book research, they're doing like other TV shows, other movies, and they're just pulling the characters from them, and we've already seen them, and then they're changing them to be diverse, and that
Mhm.
doesn't make
And
sense.
every once in a while, they're asking an intern, "Hey, give me a more obscure character." They throw out a name. They're like, "Okay, cool. Write him into the script somehow."
Yeah. And again, sometimes, you can make stuff happen. I mean, Smallville had a couple characters that had never existed before.
Right.
And
Right.
so you create these characters and things work out.
Even had characters that were so popular that they found themselves in the comics and then found themselves to be in a cult. And so that
Yeah.
all kind of went to hell. But anyway, well,
Well, okay, I have that story too. Uh,
So
my thing is that sometimes you can have characters that are longtime characters who you may never have heard of before,
right.
but
Right.
who prove so popular that like for instance, prior to Batman Begins, have any of you heard of the character of Lucius Fox?
Yeah.
Well,
I had a little bit, and then
yeah.
with I had a little bit, but then because of Batman Beyond, I know more now.
Right.
But
Right.
I had a little bit before that, not a lot. But I'm not a DC girl, so
Well, Lucius Fox is a really cool character, and
Yeah.
I-
No. Agreed.
and he's been around for a little bit,
Right.
Right.
you know. But the thing is that he wasn't in the Jack Nicholson Batman film, and so it took quite a while for him to actually show up.
right.
Right.
But not that long. Seriously, it really wasn't that long. I think he made his first appearance. So that would have been Star Trek: The Motion Picture. So that would have been 1979. So really, he'd only been around a few years,
Right.
but long enough to have made it as a character in.
I'll be right back, guys. I got to
Oh,
shut
that's all
windows. It's thunderstorming up here.
Oh, okay. Long enough to have been a character that could have been added to any Batman production
Mm-hmm.
thereafter.
Right.
You can't act like, well, there's just nobody. We got to have a black character. Oh, wait a minute. Let's just go ahead and make it Harvey Dent.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Right. Like that doesn't. I don't know. It's a thing. It's. I think it's all of our pet peeve is when they
Yeah.
do this. I really do, and I think it's a lot of like nerds and geeks and comic book fans, and it is their pet peeve. It really feels like they're doing a disservice to all the characters we know exist. When
Well,
you have to when you pick somebody and you change them just to be diverse or just to be PC. I'm so tired of that. Like, listen, I have my beliefs, and they are, I believe, we should call Ezra Miller they, because that's what they prefer. Like, I have those things that I believe in, but I still don't think that you need to change a character that is historically white to black or historically male to female just to do it.
Right.
yes.
Right.
I believe that there are lots of opportunities to do important things and to have the kind of diverse characters that you
Right.
need. And again, I'm looking right at Fox with the X-Men stuff because they did that way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no reason for them to make some of the changes that they did with some of those characters.
Right.
No.
But
X-Men have such like the comic books have enough diversity in the comic books. If you wanted to bring in, someone of color, or you wanted to bring in an Asian, there's enough of them that
Oh
you
yeah, no,
should,
definitely.
like, literally stop making people different just than they are in the comics just to appease that. Pick another character and bring them out, because who knows, it could be a character like very few people know of, and they could be very popular, and then you have a whole new like cash cow.
Yes.
Literally, like, you can make lots more money, and the comic books could then make money, because then people are like, oh, this is actually a character in the comics, but I'm going to go read the comic books. Like, pick characters that are interesting and that are, women or black or Asian or lesbian or gay or whatever, because there are them now too. Like, it's not, literally
just buy a few of these books.
Yes.
That's cheaper than because if you don't know the internet, or if you don't know a name, buying one of these books will help.
Yeah.
And the older, the better, in my opinion.
Right.
Just take advantage of the knowledge that's in here.
Here's the thing: if you aren't going to buy the books, there are enough websites.
Oh yeah.
Out there that tell you, like, you can look up comic book characters and put in female comic book characters, Asian comic book characters, and they're going to pop up a list. Start using that list and stop changing other characters to what you think are appeasing the masses and the audience, because it's not.
Hey, here's one last little revelation you need to understand about our friend Wally Amada. So he was asked, hey, because he was looking around for something big to do. He wanted to do something big. And he was asked, well, since you've got so many characters, have you ever thought about just doing Batman Beyond?
Right.
You know what he said? No. Nobody really knows it. It's an obscure cartoon. Nobody really wants that. So I'm not going to do that now.
Good.
But he said that.
Written, literally, like Danny said earlier, Dee said earlier, these things are already written. Just take them and
run with them.
And my
listen,
thing,
Disney did with all the freaking cartoons, and just make them live action, okay?
Yeah,
that's all you have to do. They're already written.
My thing was, this also explains why the Blue Beetle script was slightly damaged. Now, let me let you in on something. Who they decided to build the movie around, I love Jaime. He's a great character. But there is no reason to make up the antagonists of this particular film. They've decided to make up a whole new character. Okay? And in doing so, they've made it pretty apparent that they're not really going to try to follow the comic.
Right.
Which is unfortunate, because Blue Beetle is a great character. In fact, it's a great legacy character. And that if you really wanted to do something special, I would not have gone the direction that they're thinking about going. Now, granted, it looks like from the suit, from the pictures and everything, they're going to try to follow that much of the comics.
Yeah,
but the rest of it is going to be just,
that's the other thing. We've talked about actors and them bringing the roles, and even if the script is bad or stuff. But look, the costume designers and stuff, sometimes they're amazing, but the script is bad, and the direction is bad, and then so it looks.
Well, they don't use the costume at all, and it's just all CGI.
Or just have their masks pulled off the entire time.
Okay.
Well,
that's all.
Well, here's the other thing. You have Susan Sarandon was actually hired to be the name in the movie. So let me get this straight. You wanted to create a role, and you originally had a different actress to play the part that Susan Sarandon's being brought into play. Because it was very important to make sure that you cast Victoria Cord. Who's Victoria Cord? Oh, well, Victoria Cord is the either ex-wife or sister of Ted Cord. Oh, Ted Cord, the Blue Beetle. Yeah, we killed him. So you just made up a character? Really?
Why?
Really?
Right.
And so my thing was, why didn't you just have Ted Cord live so that Ted could do what he was going to do in the comics anyway, which is this would have been the story of really the nicest version of Tony Stark in the DC universe, because that's who Ted Cord was. Ted Cord was a nice guy.
Yeah.
He did stuff very altruistically. And he did retire for a bit, but basically his origin story as the Blue Beetle was that he grew up as a hero of the Blue Beetle, the original Blue Beetle.
Right, right.
When the original Blue Beetle died, he left behind this thing, this scarab type thing. Well,
Right.
Ted tried to make it work because it was the source of the Blue Beetle's power. He couldn't get it to work.
Right.
So all the tests that he performed on it, he did a lot of backward sort of understanding of technology, which helped him build his entire company.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
So he's a tech genius.
Right.
And so supposedly Jaime gets a hold of this, and it turns out that the scarab reacts to him.
Right.
Because it doesn't react to every living thing, but certain things it's genetically able to combine with, and this young man gets it. So my thing was like, why didn't you just make the whole story about how this guy had spent the better part of his life trying to make this thing work? And
Right.
now it does, but it's attached itself to this teenager.
Right. Right.
And since he's no longer a hero, because he had to get out of it, bad heart and stuff, why didn't you just make it how he was helping this young man be more of who he could be, using
Right.
his wealth and influence to help this young man do what he needs to do to become a hero?
Right.
Which is really great mentor story and all of that. It could have been a beautiful mentor story.
That would have been a great
Right.
story.
Yeah.
But that's not the
agree.
story they're telling. They're telling the story of a fictional person, not fictional. They're telling the story of a character who never existed, to give you kind of like an evil person to go up against this teenager. And they decided to kill off Ted's character.
Right.
So he never really appears in the thing. And you've hired an actress who, while she is known, she's not really your headliner, because that's not really what you're doing. I mean, Susan Sarandon hasn't really headlined too many pictures in recent years. So I guess
So it's kind of like Faye Dunaway in Supergirl movie, right?
kind of, sorta, and to me that's kind of insulting. But then again, Greg Berlanti still has another strike against him, because that's really what was meant to have been in Arrow.
Right.
The character who the character who was introduced as the Atom wasn't really originally meant to be the Atom. That character was originally meant to. They introduced Ray Palmer, who became the Atom. That's not who they wanted him to play originally. He was originally cast to be Ted Cord.
He would have been a great.
That would
Ted
have been
Cord.
good.
He would have been a great Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
honestly
changed their
would,
mind.
yeah.
They changed their. That's the reason why you kept seeing Cord Industries throughout the Arrowverse.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But they decided not to go with that.
That would
So
have been a lot
guys,
better.
We are at 2 hours and 18 minutes.
I am
Yep.
so sorry for keeping you guys
You-
so
Oh,
long.
we
You're
know
good.
this always
You're
happens.
good.
We always.
We always love having you, Keith.
We do.
But I do know that I have some work to do. I have to transcribe
Yep.
a 3-hour alderman meeting from last night.
Ooh.
And so I'm going to have to get off here. And I figured, Keith, we can always have you come back and you can keep talking to us about all kinds of things. Warner Brothers. We can complain about things. It's fine. We love you. And you are always
do.
welcome on here. But I do know that, we should probably wrap it up. If that's okay with everybody.
Oh, yeah,
I
look.
was
We
about
can
to
always
say
come
that
back
same
later.
thing, so
We can always come back and do this again.
I would be happy to come back anytime. I just want to
we
say,
love having you all on. This has been great. And this has been a great discussion. about a lot of things that we need to talk about. So
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it was just we're listening to Keith talk, but that's okay. It's very informative.
hey, Keith knows everything.
I think like
so-
that first 20 minutes, I don't think I spoke, but maybe twice, other than
What?
just being like,
You didn't speak.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think
You need to come to
my
my
house.
house.
I'm just quiet.
Wait, Keith, you need to come to my house. You've got him to be quiet.
Look, first of all, I am honored every single time you guys invite me on, and I have a message to you from Gary, which is great job. He watches you guys. He thinks the world of you guys.
Oh, thanks, Gary.
Look, we have always loved what you guys do, and having you out there do what you do to reach the people that we can't reach, but also just the kind of lovable nerds you guys are. I mean, all of you, just huggable, lovable nerds, and you guys are just.
I'm going to try to hug Danny.
So look, thank you
hands.
for having me on,
Of course.
and for giving me a platform to do my weird old man shakes.
I've just been enjoying that like rip in the space-time continuum, like right about over here, like fluctuate throughout the. And there's a black one on the other side over in the little patio. Right here. Over in the
I wasn't going to say anything, but I could definitely tell there's a rip in the continuum.
Hey,
like a ghost.
Unless you're wearing the sunglasses, you can't tell Keith's really an alien. So
I'm out of bubble gum. I am out of bubble gum.
I can see.
But so if you guys who have been watching have enjoyed our conversation, these guys are all over the place, and we're going to let you know where you can find them.
yes, we are.
So first of all, Keith mentioned Gary. So Keith and Gary have several shows. I don't even know how many shows you guys have now. Over
Well,
85.
We are down to 3.
Okay.
We have Morning Coffee with Gary, which is
Right.
every morning, and it's the show that lasts as long as he has coffee in the cup. We have TGI Friday, which is every Friday. And then we have Saturday Morning Fun Time, which is our chance to really just talk about the week stories and talk about stuff that's upcoming. And I usually last about as long as I have soda in this cup. So,
So be sure you go over and check them out on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, because then you're going to see all the amazing things. And Keith and Gary know everyone, or know people who know everyone. And so they will scoop all kinds of things and get us all kinds of information. Ice cream. Scoop us
Lots of ice cream, yes.
But guess what? I'm going to put this out there. We are a PG channel here. Gary is not as PG. So if you have small kids and you don't want them to hear some words, just put some headphones on, listen to them, because you're going to enjoy them. And there's nothing wrong with you enjoying them without the kids hearing stuff. It's fine. You could do that. Look, Keith's got his headphones on now. But be sure to go over there. But hit that subscribe button. That is so important to all of us. So much. So if you're on Facebook, hit like. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe. You can do it. That's it. That's it.
See how quick that was? Painless.
One click. All right. But Keith, you also have your own show.
I did. It's on hiatus. We're on hiatus for a little bit. I've had some things happen, and so I'm taking some time out. But
people can go to all your other shows, the ones you've already done.
Well, I'm able to still do the stuff with Gary. I haven't really gotten out of those, but I had to pull back on a few things.
Sure.
But we are talking about bringing some of that stuff back.
Okay.
So look, I enjoy everybody that watches anything I have to say.
So can they still? Are the videos still up of your old episodes?
Yes. If you go to Fat Steven Seagal
Show, Fat Steven Seagal Show on YouTube, go check out Keith Chimes In. Check out all kinds of things he talked about. How many episodes did you talk about Babylon 5?
Well, we had a whole Babylon 5 show that we still have yet to finish.
Yeah.
We still have yet to complete season 4 and go into season 5. So
if you want to know anything about that show, go watch, because Keith's going to go break it down for you and let you know all kinds of things. Okay? I swear. I can't. So be sure to go check that out on the Fat Stephen Suckball YouTube channel. And give that subscribe button, hit it, comment, share. All of those things are important to us. We also have some other friends who didn't join us tonight. I'll talk to you about you later. You're
Can
always
you imagine
last.
having like all of us on?
Oh my gosh, that would be crazy.
That'd be awesome.
We need to have us all on and just have it round robin, free for all.
But we do have some friends who weren't on here today, and that will bring me to the Ozpod gals. Now, they took a hiatus. They just came back, and they had a huge announcement. If you are an OzCon fan and you know what that is a con in West Plains, Missouri. They had a huge announcement that they just did. Yeah. They have a new person running OzCon now. And they are no longer, they have a new charity. They have become a 501(c)(3) all by themselves.
Yeah.
And
was that
so,
Thunder?
yeah, it was.
That was Thunder, yes.
Be sure to go check out the Ozpod Gals Thursdays at 6 p.m. on Facebook. And they are amazing. When you're over there, hit the like button. And that way you guys can follow their page. So when they have new videos, you will be the first to know. We have who the professor calls our distinguished competition, our DC to our Marvel, and that is the Nerd Informants over on YouTube and Facebook. Tim and Josh.
Can we just get the Ozpod gals and Tim and Josh and just all of us?
Well, did
universes collide?
Did Tim tell you that he ran into me?
Cool.
Yes, Tim did. Tim told me he ran into you.
I told him to call me because we need to. I said before, we need to do a show together. It's us and you guys and the Nerd Informants, and we need to.
We've been talking about it for over.
Uh-oh.
I didn't say that. What are you talking about?
So Tim Church and Josh Grisham over at Nerd Informants, YouTube, Facebook. They are amazing. They're going to have TV, movie reviews, video game reviews, all kinds of nerdy stuff. And Josh Grisham will bring you all kinds of interviews from amazing actresses and actors all over the country. He brings them and he goes on and you can hear them talk. Still one of my favorite is his Bruce Campbell. When he did Bruce Campbell, I love that. You can go and listen to all of these. He has his own podcast that you can listen to any of the old interviews that he does. So be sure to hit like and subscribe so you can keep up with that. They also did something really great for all of us nerdy community. They created a Facebook page called Nerd Informants Beyond, and anybody who's a nerdy geeky person can post things, memes, questions. If you have an event going on, if you just have a really cool cosplay and you were like, I just want people to see it, take a picture, post it on there. Totally good. They just ask that you be friendly to everyone who's on there. That's kind of their rule. Be kind.
Oh, well, I can't join.
You can't, Danny. Sorry. And then we have the Scallywags. Look, I say Scallywags because Dee's on here tonight. I'm super excited about it.
It's the Scallywag and the Rapscallion.
Oh, is that what it is?
I need a hat. I gotta have a hat now.
I know.
I need a hat.
He's got a Long John Silver's.
Scallywag Productions on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and more. And I don't know, it says and more.
Oh,
I guess you're on here.
More.
And you're on here.
I'm on GeekyKOOL.
There you go.
I do have a TikTok, but I've never used it.
I think Dee and Spoo need to make little TikToks.
I actually do have some ideas.
I think it would be hilarious.
There may be some TikTok short stuff coming up.
Because my favorite thing
hit me up on the messenger. We'll see what we can do.
My favorite thing about the show, which is the show that you guys did, was literally your trailers. I loved your trailers. The trailers. The trailers were so much fun. So, guys, be sure to go check that out.
There's a playlist for just the trailers.
Yep. Hit subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, follow on Instagram, follow on Twitter.
I'm not sure that liking on Facebook, but
Book.
All the things.
Book.
Just
You
all
are
the things.
I am.
And then there's us, GeekyKOOL.com.
While you're out there on the internet, pop on over to www.GeekyKOOL.com, your one-stop shop for all things nerd.
We have amazing contributors who post articles for us, all kinds of things. We do videos. And if you want to become a contributor, just hit up Professor and I on Facebook and message us, and we will make that happen.
We will. We have a new D&D series getting ready to happen.
We're going to be doing a D&D series for kids, and I think all of them who've signed up have never really played. They know a little bit about the game, and so Professor's going to,
we're going to school them.
I can't wait to watch that.
I know it is going to be so much fun. They're going to be so goofy. I know these kids; they're just so fun. So that's going to be coming up. We're working with the parents right now to figure out time frames, schedules, that sort of thing. So be on the lookout.
So we've got that going on. We've got other things in the works and some changes coming to GeekyKOOL.com that will be amazing. And you've heard it here first. And maybe we can get this big group together for our 100th episode.
Yeah.
Since that's coming up
quick.
in
Coming
the next,
quick.
So, all right, guys. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for watching. Stay geeky, and we'll talk to you all later.
Yep.